Good afternoon. So good to see you again. Every so often I'm scrapbooking and I'm making things and I'm thinking, oh shoot, I should have recorded that because that would be a really good idea to share. Well, today I remembered, so I'm so happy. Um, the dilemma we're overcoming today is if you have a lot of photos, and myself being a photographer, that did a lot of action sports photos. I always use my camera on the burst mode, which would take so many photos in a frame, and you get lots of action and movement in your photos. And it's hard when you have all those pictures to capture them in an album. So I took some of the principles that you would see in card making, in which they had made a cascade card, and I am applying that to scrapbooking. Not so much with a pull down lever because most of your action photos are in a horizontal plane, but I've added it so it is going to create a slide mechanism in which your photos will slide across like a movie action screen. So I'm eager to share that with you and show you how it's done. With scrapbooking, the differences you have is the weight of the photos are heavier than some of your cardstock. You're working with little flip flaps, which aren't as sturdy again as cardstock, and you're taping everything down to a page protector, which isn't sturdy cardstock. So I've overcome some of those issues. So I'll take you to the craft room. I'll show you what I did, and I hope you enjoy this and you're able to display your bursts of photos. We'll catch you in the craft room. Here we go. What you're going to need for this project is your page that you're going to be putting your mechanism on. Of course, you have to put it on top of the page protector, so excuse the glare because I need to work on top of the page protector. What you are going to need is your little flaps of the photos that you are going to put in. I just want to do a quick test, so I'm only making 4 little flaps, and with this one, if I had a lot of photos, I could actually go 2, 4, 6, 7 photos, and because I can use the back side. But in my case, I just added a little verse for now. And then you're going to want to create your mechanism, so you're going to need a piece of paper. I'm going to cut my length later, but I did decide to go with a flap that's a little bit wider than my 3x4 piece, and that way it makes a nice border. When you're looking at these cascade cards, as a card maker, people are using cardstock to attach to the mechanism score folds. In the case of these flip flaps, because they have the crease in them, they tend to be more flimsy. So because I have a photo, I don't want to extend my photo past the outside edge because I want to have it protected. So I chose to cover the back side with some paper. And then again, I should have extended this a little bit further, but because I was paper, it wasn't that stiff. So in my case, I did insert a little 3/4 inch strip of cardboard in between my paper and my photo, and I extended it underneath the outside edge, not the part that I'm going to peel off, and I glued it down with another decorative strip of paper. So now I have some firmness to my grooves. All right, so I've got my background paper I'm going to mount it on. I've got my sleeves that I'm going to put in. I'm going to have to attach the back side of this to my page, so you need some really good strong adhesive to have things go. And I'm going to need a tab. You can cut a little tab or a push tab to get the mechanism to flow. I'm going to try to be creative here, and I'm going to use these little buttons that were in the Cheerful collection, and I'm going to have it raised up a little bit so I have some something to grip, and I'm going to try and attach it to my last photo in my page so it makes a nice easy something to slide. And then the last thing, of course, you're going to need is your trimmer with your scoring blade in it, And I'm also like making sure everything's nice and straight, so I tend to like to use my 0 centering ruler. So with your trimmer, we have our scoring blade in there. So I decided that I want my outside edge, the part that's going to fold over and attach to my page, I want it to be 1.5 inches, that it's tucked underneath nice and safe. Hopefully that works. And I picked that distance because this trimmer goes to 1 3/4. So let's slide it up here along my score line to the 1 3/4 right here, and I'm going to put my first score mark in it so that it scores nicely. All right, so from here I want to make sure that this part that's going to be folding over is on one of the little sections that I'm going to score. You need one section for every flap you have. So I measured these here, and it's 5/8 of an inch, which is 2 little hash lines past the 1/2 inch, which can be a bit of a pain to remember. So I went ahead and added just a little post-it note at the point here where I have to stop, so I know exactly where to stop to make my scores. So I'm going to continue along here. So I'm going to take my current score line that I made, and I'm sliding it up to that post-it note, and then I'm going to make my second score. I'm going to go across and score again, and then I'm going to go up again with that line. Keep it square. Gotta run that score. And run that score. So let's see. Alrighty, my last one's going on the fixed part. 1, 2, 3, and that's the last one. Usually when you're having your paper, they say when they're doing the Cascade cards to make sure that you have really good creases and to have them really flexible in both directions so they slide up and down really well. This one here, I don't think it's going to matter as much, but we'll find out. I'll go both directions just to be safe. Here we have it. Okay, so I'm going to go with my last one that I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's attached. So it should roll up. 1, 2, 3, 4, like so. Looks okay. So this part's going to be attached to the page protector very, very firmly. This part's going to be allowed to slide and roll by pushing the back end on this side with the button we're going to create. So the first one here is going to be the top photo. So my first photo is going to be the one that's furthest away. So this one here, I'm going to slide off my tape and attach that right to the top edge, nicely centered. There we have it. Then we'll go on to the next one, which is going to be on that edge. Number 2 is this one. When I have it centered with the last photo, like so. Hopefully my head's not in your way. Last photo is going to be here. Slide you on my sliding mechanism. Go up to the last one. It's going to be my little friend over here. And we'll slide you up nice and strong. So to do my test, I'm going to use this and hold it down nice and firm like it is attached to my page. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my last photo and slide it. And yes, is kind of cute, right? All right, last photo is going to be attached to the paper, so it's going to slide with everything. So I'm just going to add a little strip here. Remove my piece and add that down. So there we have it. My last photo is now fixed to get the mechanism to go. And here you need about an inch pass, but I'm going to see where my button's going to go. Probably right here. And I'm going to use my zero centering ruler again to do some little bit of measuring and marking here. So with your zero centering rulers, of course, you can see here I'm going between the 1 3/4 inch line here and the 1 3/4 inch line here. That's where I know exactly where my center is. So for my little tool here, I want cut it a little bit because I just want that little tab that's just this part that's sticking out. So I'm going to remove some paper. So I am going to remove it. Where's my white part? I'm going to go a 1/2 inch on either side. So I'm just going to grab my pencil and I'm going to mark it at a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here. And I'm going to draw a line here. Cut across here. 1/2 inch there. 1/2 inch and out. I can come in along this line to here. You can put it on your trimmer, but sometimes it's just as easy to take your snips and make things go. If you watch the Cascade card techniques, they tell you to cut your flap an inch past the last photo so you have something to grab, but here we're making a button instead. I might leave this whole length for some thickness for some security. So the button's going to go about here. And I want to raise it a bit so it's easier to grab. So I did take 2 of them and I'm going to put 1 on either side here and stick it down like so. So I might just, for the thickness of it all, grab a second piece of tape just so it's really, really secure. Gonna fold this in half because we're not gonna see it at all. Right, that button should hide all of it now. Yes, it will. And I'm gonna just tape this down. So now I have some extra thickness to keep it strong. We're just all going by ear here. All right, do I need my tape again? Let's find out. 1. Lots of adhesive here. I tried to fill this as much as possible so it was nice and full when you went to grab it. It wasn't flimsy. Bottom part doesn't matter as much. You just kind of want to make sure it's centered. How far am I going over my flap? I think I like that much on my photo. Just going to center it right there. And put that down. This is going to be the tricky one because we want to line that up perfectly above the lower one and not get my head in your camera too much. So I'm working at a bit of an angle, so hopefully I get it nice and straight. Get a nice little garbage pile going here on the side. All these little bits of reinforcing. Going with the green on the top. Feel the center. On adhesive to be nice and firm. There we go, we have a button. I think we're just about set on this. Fold that over, that's going to be fastened to the page. Slide that in nice and firm, give it a slide. Yes, I should have a little note saying push, right? I'll have to add a little tab or note for that. Okay, that looks kind of nice. Let's see if she's going to stick down on the page real nice. On top of the page protector. And if I slide it right about here, I'm good on the top. Right, now don't forget, you can't attach this part because this is the part that has to move. You only have to attach this part. So I'm going to go about here, and I might put another little note in here that says push with an arrow. On my little flap. Gonna put lots of adhesive down on that one just to keep it ultra secure. Should have brought out my big 1/2 inch stuff. But this will work. Scissors need cleaning. There we are. So 1. That's not going to hold it. We don't know it well, right? Go with 4 of them, just to be safe. Here we are. Red line. Make sure it's the right way around. Even with the red line. Oh, not that red line. Looks good, looks good. Burns it down really well. Give it a slide. There we go. So can you imagine if you have photos on both sides? Be like you were sketching in the bottom of your textbooks in school with the little stick people to make them dance through your page. I didn't do that. Of course I did. All right. That's my little demo. Hopefully that allows you to add, in this case, it would be like 7 different photos, but it makes a nice little cascade flap. When it stands on your shelf, it doesn't seem to droop down. It seems to be sitting quite nice. There we go. And add on to my design. Looking at my little flaps, because photos are heavier than cardstock, I was finding that, yes, this was drooping a little bit because of the weight of the photos. So what I have decided to do is I am going to create a track mechanism running 1 strip here and 2 here so that it operates as a guide to slide this and keep it from sliding down the page. So how we're going to do this, let me rotate here so I can work and see at the same time. So when I am in my space here and I slide it down, I can get my stop real nice. And where it's going to stop, I want to have an 1 inch overlap where the length that's going to run under here slides into the double track. So I cut a 1 inch length of paper, and I'm just going to mark it here so it's going halfway on either side. So this is where my overlap's going to be. And I'll do the same thing on the other side just to make it nice and straight when I'm looking at it. So I kind of like it even with that little white line. I'm going to go to this white line. That'll be enough overlap on both sides. So when I pull my slide back from where my button is, I'm going to have to go on the edge of the button to the edge of the tape. It is, starting at the 0 from my button, it's about 4 inches. So we're going to get a 4-inch strip here, and then on the inside, when I add my 2 other pieces on the inside, I want to go, let's see what happens if we go 4 again. If I start on this end, it'll take me to about here at 4 inches, which is really nice. Okay, so we're going to add 1 on the center of this and 2 strips on the paper. We need to find our center across here. Let's mark it down. There's my 0. Okay, so with my 0 centering ruler again, you flip it over, I'm going to go right here on the ink so you can see it. So if I go 0 in the middle, you want to make sure both sides are matching. So I am at the, so here's your 1 3/4 and your 1 3/4. So this is your center right here. I'm going to be using, just for simplicity, you can stack paper. I'm just going to use these little foam strip states, which are 1/8 of an inch. So if this is centered, this one's going to be here and here. That's my one that's going to be sliding down. And my ones on the other side are going to have to be right there and right here. Away we go. So I think I have some of these cut. Yes, I have one cut at 4 inches. Now these one here, you don't have to take off the upper edge because you want things sliding. So you're going to only remove the lower part and use that and leave the top on. If you're worried about it peeling off, you can add some tape. So I'm going along the red dot here. And of course we want those to fold, so I am going to actually make this one less than. So I get my tracking properly. Let's get the next one. That's my one in the middle, see? Doesn't have to be a tight fit, it just has to be a fit. Okay. There we go. So again, let me mark my center on this card. 1 3/4 to 1 3/4. These two numbers on the outside are the same. Your center is in the middle. I go close to the dot. Put one here, one here. That's going to be the center of my strip. Rotate so I can see. Across there to across here. So now when this folds over the top, it will fit in between these two tracks. See how that doesn't slide anymore? When it's pulled all the way to the back side, you can see here how they overlap a little bit, where these little tabs are. So now let's slide that off again. Stand it up. See, much more secure. Oh, that's staying better. Okay, these are two on that one side, one down the middle, with a good overlap. And it keeps everything nice and straight on the page. Right, that's the lesson. Thank you again for joining me today. If you want a demonstration on creating this technique with a fall down pull cascade, working with photos and page protectors and flaps, write a note in the comment and I will find some photos and do that for you. From the Camo Cropper, we'll catch you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.